In our journey to create a magical blast effect, today we are going to create this spiral effect. Last video we created our basic beam with sine waves and some other settings. Today we are going to pick up from right where we left off, so let's make our spiral. First, let's hide our beam. Unpin it from geometry nodes. Create a new plane and add a geonode modifier. Let's name the plane and geonode to spiral. To create a spiral in geonode, we can use curve spline. But to get the spline effect we want, I will try a different method and it will be easy to understand. So use curve line, just like from the previous video. Drag the two objects to the scene, plug the location to start and end point, add a curve to mesh node, and add a curved circle and plug it to the profile curve input. We only get one tube, but we need 3. To do that, we have to modify our profile curve. I'm going to make some space here and use a join geometry node and plug that to our group output. Add a transform node and translate it just a bit on X and Y. Ctrl-Shift-D and duplicate the transform node without losing the connection and plug it to join geometry. Tweak its translation and also the scale. Do the same thing again and you will have something like this. 3 circles with different scales. We can reduce the resolution of the circle. I don't think we need that much. I'm going to select all these nodes and hit Shift-P and frame them. Give it a label and a color. Now when we plug this setup to profile curve circle, we have 3 tubes. Let's change the radius using the same method from the previous video. Spline parameter and a map range node. Now I adjust the master radius we talked in last video to 0.35 and these two to something like 0.14 and 0.06. Now we need to grab these 3 tubes from each side and twist it to create the spiral. But since we can't actually touch this virtual world, we need to find another method. A method like set curve tilt. What this does is it rotates each point in our curve, but there's only 2 points in the curve right now. So just like in the previous video, add a resample node and give it something like 16 or 32. Still, it is doing nothing. Well, this node is actually tilting our curve, but it is tilting every single point from exactly the same value so that we can't see any difference. So we need to tell it to tilt each point in the curve from a different value. For that, we need some sort of curve data. A curve data like spline parameter. So we drag the factor to the tilt socket and use multiply node to increase the effect. Now let's add a math node to change the tilt offset. Set the math type to subtract. And also add a trim curve node because we are creating a magical blast effect and we need these 2 values to do the blasting. So we got everything ready. Let's add a material. Call it spline. Now all we have to do is extract all the necessary inputs. Here I drag start and end points, trim curve inputs, minimum and maximum radius, tilt amount and offset, and material. And also in our spline profile, I'm going to use master radius and transform values of these 3 transform nodes. But for those transform values, I'm going to do something different. Since I want all these circles to scale uniformly, I don't need to extract 3 values from each of them. Instead, I add a separate XYZ node, drag the scale from each of them to XYZ output. Now we can use this vector input in a group input node. And now we have one selection to change all 3 scales. I'm going to use a similar method to translation inputs. I create 3 combined XYZ nodes and drag all the translation vectors to them. Now I'm going to create a vector input that contains all the X position of the circles and another one to contain all the Y positions. So create a separate XYZ and drag all the X positions from the combined XYZ nodes and Y positions to another separate XYZ node. Now rename them appropriately. Make sure to plug them in the same order. The first row of each vector will contain scale, X position and Y position for a particular circle, middle row for another, and the last row for the remaining circle, so that you won't scratch your head later trying to figure out which one belongs to which circle. One last thing, I want to separate the inputs for spiral profile for a better user experience. I'm going to create another input just above our profile radius and change its type to string. Keep the name empty. And in the default, I type lots of spaces and then spiral profile. So whenever you are adding this GeoNode to a new object, it will automatically display this value. But for right now, I just copy paste this to here. So that's it for this part. Next part we'll do another element or a few of them. So if you learn anything, that's great. I mean, that's what we like to do. We not only create stuff, we let you create with us. Hit the like button and comment your thoughts below. Don't forget to subscribe to HelloFX Learn so you won't miss out when the next part drops. So until next time,